What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Kicking It with Crowder, guys. Not going to play any music tonight, but I will let everyone get a second to join. So in just a minute or two, we will be going, we're already live, but we'll go ahead and start the program, guys. So episode 86, tonight we talk about Nikola Jokic, the Joker from the Denver Nuggets, becomes the first player in franchise history to win the NBA MVP award. So we'll talk a little bit more about the history he made. And guys, we'll also talk about the super regionals in baseball. The 16 teams now are set. Basically, you got 16 teams. They'll play best 2 out of 3 series, and the winners will go to Omaha, Nebraska in the College World Series. So we'll go over that. FSU Oklahoma playing right now in the top of the 6. Oklahoma just took a 3-2 lead over Florida State. If Oklahoma wins, they force Game 3. That will be played tomorrow. And then also, guys, you have the news out of the MLB with the doctoring of the baseballs, and the umpires now are going to be the people implementing that. So a lot of interesting stuff going on in the sporting world. We'll talk about it tonight, guys. Football season's less than 100 days away. The Falcons, traded Julio Jones. I already did a segment on that, so I will not talk much about that tonight. Check it out, guys, if you haven't already. So we'll wait here just another second, and then we'll get going, guys. So thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. And the Suns Nuggets play at 9:30, so we'll try to keep this, about 30 minutes or so, and we'll kind of go from there. All right. So Kicking It with Crowder begins, guys, in 3, 2, 1. And what's going on, everyone? And welcome to another edition of Kicking It with Crowder. Now, episode 86, guys. So if you've been along for the ride, thank y'all so much. If you're just tuning in for the first time, guys, be sure to check it out. Share it, like it, comment down below, all that good stuff. You can also, you'll also be able to like my Facebook page if you haven't already. Trying to get that to 1,000 likes. Almost there, guys. So, a lot going on in the sporting world. FSU Oklahoma, like I just talked about, they're in the top of the 6th. Oklahoma up 3-2 over the FSU Seminoles, the number 10 seed FSU. Oklahoma is the 1 seed. If they win tonight, they will force a Game 3 and basically a winner-take-all for the national championship. So we'll see if FSU can come back. Also, guys, they're up 1-0 in the series. Oklahoma trying to even it up. Super regional set for college baseball. We'll discuss that later on, which matchups to watch out for, how many SEC teams, of course, got into the Super Regionals, guys. And NBA, I already talked about a little bit earlier, Nikola Jokic. Now, the NBA 2021 MVP, congratulations. He now becomes the lowest draft pick ever at 41 to win the NBA MVP award. And he wins it by a landslide, guys. Out of the 101 votes, he had 91 first place votes. So Curry had 5, Embiid had 1. Derrick Rose got the fan vote. So Jokic pretty much won by a landslide, guys, putting up 26.4 points per game, 10.8 rebounds a game, and 8.3 assists a game. First winner to win since Shaq. So that's huge news. Shaq, of course, gave him the huge shout out, and he's the 6th foreign player to win. We'll go over who all has won that, foreign players, and there's some guys who you wouldn't really, think are international players, but they are, like Tim Duncan or Akeem Olajuwon. Those are 2 guys. We'll go over the rest later on. So 8 teams left in the playoffs. Whoever wins it, their franchise has waited either a long time or they've never won one, period. That out of the 8 teams left, the 76ers are the most recent champions, and that's in 1983. So, whoever wins it's going to be a long-awaited. The Brooklyn Nets are the prohibited favorite right now to win. They've never won a championship, so we'll see what happens. But the big question that I want to talk about tonight is, and we'll get into this a little bit later, can Brooklyn Nets get it done without James Harden? James Harden, of course, plays for 43 seconds in the Game 1 series against the Bucks. He 43 seconds, strained hamstring, same hamstring that gave him trouble about a month and a half ago. and he looks like he's going to be out right now, at least for the time being. He's out game 3 tomorrow. Also, Jeff Green will be out of that game as well. So we'll see what happens there. Trying to win the first time. Can James Harden and can Kyrie Irving, what up, Jordan? Can Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, can they, push Brooklyn over the top without James Harden? I think James Harden, when he was on the court this year, was one of the best, if not the best player in the NBA. He's just so dynamic of a scorer. Also facilitates, gets other guys involved. KD's been playing on another level right now. Kyrie has kind of been that off-the-ball scorer. If they can just play any defense at all, they're getting a lot from Blake Griffin right now. Looks like a completely different player who came over from the Pistons. DeAndre Jordan is that defensive anchor for them. So KD and Kyrie, are they good? They're good. I know that. Are they good enough to win it without James Harden? We'll talk about that later on, guys. And we'll also talk about the other series, the 76ers versus the Hawks. Yes, the Atlanta Hawks are tied 1-1 against the Philadelphia 76ers, and they're going back home to Atlanta. They do the same thing what they did in New York. They split 1-1. Now they're coming back home, and this Atlanta Hawks team is very dangerous. Trae Young, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Danilo Gallinari, Lou Williams, Clint Capella. I mean, this team is very, very deep. They play very, very good basketball. Nate McMillan has done a fabulous job with this Hawks team. Let's just say Indiana Pacers, really messed up. They fired Nate McMillan last year. They bring in a new coach. They fired him today, so he lasts 1 year. Nate McMillan is probably going to be the long-term answer for the Atlanta Hawks at the head coaching position. So, very excited to see, this Trae Young-led team. They only drafted Trae Young 3 years ago, so they've done really, really well transforming this roster and transforming this team and putting a lot of 3-and-D shooters around Trae Young. And, adding a big man like Clint Capella, who has averages 15 rebounds a game, was huge as well. So the front office has done a nice job. But I don't know if any front offices did better than the Phoenix Suns. Adding Chris Paul in, and the Suns right now are playing the Nuggets. And what's up, Brandon? And they play tonight at 9:30. So, look for the Nuggets to play a close game with the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul looks like he's kind of healthy off that shoulder injury. Devin Booker is just on another level. DeAndre Ayton has been playing very well against the MVP, Nikola Jokic. So, and also played well against him during the season. So, it's a nice matchup. I think the Nuggets really need to win this game tonight to split the series and going back to Denver, because Phoenix is, of course, in the higher seed, so they're at home right now. So the Phoenix Suns, they did a fabulous job. And I talked about the Hawks and the Suns before the season started, and saying these would be two teams to look out for. They're even better than I thought. I had the Hawks as a 7 seed, had the Suns as a 6 seed. They're the number 5 seed, the Hawks, and the number 2 seed respectively. So in the NBA. So those two teams have done a heck of a job and really rebuilt really, really quick. The Jazz and Clippers played last night. Donovan Mitchell was on another level in the second half, scoring 32 points in the second half. Rudy Gobert blocks one of the Morris twins' 3 as the clock is expiring. So this is a 1-0 series. This is a Clippers team who just went 7 with Luka Doncic. Look out. I mean, this series could go 6 or 7 games easily. And, it's really a toss-up in the West. I mean, you got the Jazz, the Clippers, the Suns, and the Nuggets, teams who, historically have not been there, have not made it to the NBA Finals. So it's just so unique. It's kind of like the Raptors a few years ago when they got in out of the East. It's kind of a similar situation. One of these teams is going to get there for the first time in a long time. And then you have the Nets and Bucks, who we talked about just earlier. Giannis, is a great player, but, do they have enough talent around him, surrounding him, to beat a team so top-heavy like the Brooklyn Nets? I just don't think so. So, anything else you guys want to talk about, let me know down below. We'll also talk a little bit about the MLB trying to crack down on the doctoring of the baseball, something that's been going on for a long, long time, whether it's pine tar, whether it's this new stuff, the spider tack, sunscreen, lotion, I mean, you name it. They've been trying to do it for a long, long time in the MLB. It's kind of like, no one really says anything about it. But, they cracked down earlier with a cap. They took a baseball cap. The manager got ejected, came out, talked about it. Now a lot more people are starting to talk about it. Garrett Cole, guys. If you haven't seen the interview with Garrett Cole, he gets asked about, using an illegal substance, and he was not prepared to answer that question. Go look it up. It's pretty funny. And this is a guy who had the huge 2019 season, and then his first start after they're looking out for, these doctoring of baseballs, he gets a rock. So we'll see what happens there later on, guys. But, hey, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Kicking It with Crowder, episode 86. If you haven't already, guys, don't forget to subscribe to, any of my podcasts anywhere. Apple, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, Facebook, YouTube. Basically anywhere you get your favorite podcast, guys, you can find me. I'm there as well. I have over 3,000 downloads, so, keep downloading, keep supporting the podcast. Got some great news earlier this week. I'm going to be going to ACC Media Day in Charlotte, North Carolina, interning with Fox Sports 1400 out of Columbia, South Carolina. Going to be helping my buddy Rob Sanders out. What's up, Dave? Thanks for watching, man. So I will be interning for ACC Media Day. I'll be there answering some questions and using that for my podcast, getting some good feedback there as well. And, guys, I'm really excited to bring y'all this show tonight. Thank y'all so much for the support. Cannot wait till football season starts getting ramped up, guys. We're getting closer and closer, guys. So, hey, don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like down below. Share this out. Let more people see it. And, guys, like I said, Apple, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, YouTube, Twitter. I'm everywhere. All right? So, if you want to talk some sports with me, guys, always tune in. I always love talking some sports with you guys. So, Nikola Jokic, guys, I want to go a little bit behind the numbers with his MVP performance this season. He was special. Averaged 27, 10, and 8. Was, a 50, 40, 90 guy. So that means he shot 50% from the field. He shot 40% from 3. So, I think, the other thing he did, he may have been 90% from the free throw line. I can't verify that. I can't exactly remember if he was over 90 at the free throw line, but he's just a heck of a player. He's really a true point center. He's one of the best passers in the entire National Basketball Association. Has really risen in the last 7 years. I already talked about lowest drafted player to ever win the NBA MVP award. And he's also the 6th international player, joining the likes of Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, who won it twice, Steve Nash, who also won it twice, Dirk Nowitzki, and then Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those guys have all won it, and now Nikola Jokic is the 6th foreign player to win it. And also, guys, he's the first Nugget to ever win the award. No Carmelo never won one. No Chauncey Billups, Allen Iverson. None of these guys ever won one. Alex English with the Denver Nuggets. Nikola is the very first player. And, ever since Jamal Murray went down, a lot of people, were questioning, if this team was good enough to go on without him. They do have Michael Porter in fold as well. And this is a very talented team. And shout out to Nikolai. I love watching him play. He's just a really fun player to watch. And he just does, he goes in and night out. And really, plays, just a fun brand of basketball, getting other guys going, can shoot the three. Is a great passer, like I said, will rebound. Has really, reshaped his body in the last few years. When he first came in, a little bit overweight, but he's really toned that down and came out and had a great year. So shout out to Nikolai. MVP, 2021 MVP. All right, and I thought Steph Curry should have got some more votes. Yes, his team didn't make the playoffs. They did get in the play-in game, but what Steph Curry was able to do, he did get 5 first-place votes this year. I feel like if Klay Thompson would have been there this year, he probably would have even garnered more because his team would have been a lot better. And, they don't like giving the MVP award to teams, to players who play for teams who are not very good. So that's why Steph Curry didn't get more votes, but let's just be real. He was the most dynamic player this year, averaged 32 points per game. I cannot wait to see him and the Splash Brothers back at it again. So we'll move on to the Super Regionals, guys. Best 2 out of 3. So we start with the top 4 seeds. The top 4 seeds, guys, all move on to try to get to the College World Series, and we'll start with the number 1 team, Arkansas. They win their regional, and they will now play NC State. Best 2 out of 3. The winner moves on to the College World Series. All right, and then out of the number 2 team, the Texas Longhorns, they will play a surprise winner out of their regional, the South Florida Bulls. They're 31-28, but they end up winning their regional. Now they will now play the top-heavy Texas Longhorns team. Winner goes to the College World Series. LSU's coach, guys. So LSU was playing Oregon, the 14 seed. They lose their first game, LSU does. Then they win their next 4 games and win the Eugene Regional down there in Oregon. And their coach is retiring after this year. So he came out. LSU's had an up and down type season, and their coach is going to call it quits. He won the national championship in 2009, so he does have a championship under his belt. But they're going to face a Tennessee team who had that dramatic walk-off grand slam against Wright State in the Knoxville Regional. They win that Knoxville Regional, and now they move on to play LSU. Best 2 out of 3 SEC. LSU at Tennessee, so we'll see what happens. That should be a good matchup. Then you have the East Carolina team facing off against powerhouse Vanderbilt, who has those 2 really, really good right-handed pitchers up at the top, Leiter and Rocker. So both of the, or Rucker, however they pronounce his name, both of those guys are going to be top 10 picks, I believe, in the MLB. And it's going to be hard when you have 2 studs like that you have to face, on a weekend. Best 2 out of 3. That's really, really tough. Going to be a lot for East Carolina. But the top 4 seeds, guys, do all get into the Super Regional. So we have 4 more games left. And this is going to be a good one. Ole Miss last year had a really good baseball team. Of course, the season was canceled. I know I think they made it to the World Series in 2019 as well, the College World Series. So they'll face off against Pac-12 foe Arizona. So, this is a seeded matchup. All these other seeds, South Florida, NC State, LSU, East Carolina are all unseeded. So Ole Miss gets their number 12 seed, and they face off against a number 5 Arizona. So this could go either way, guys. You'll also have a couple more seeded games as well. Notre Dame, as the number 10 seed, will face off against Mississippi State. Mississippi State has had a pretty good program. I know they made it to the College World Series. I think they made it to the championship game or went pretty far, I think, in 2019. It's just the College World Series, they didn't have one last year, so it seems like so far away. But Notre Dame, traditionally has a pretty good baseball program. They'll face off against Mississippi State in what should be a really good game. And then you have the Stanford Cardinal facing off against Texas Tech, another school who has just, gotten better and better at baseball over the past few years. They're going to match up. And then 2 unseeded. So you'll at least have 1 unseeded team make it, with Dallas Baptist facing off against Virginia. Virginia defeated Old Dominion, who was seeded. Virginia, of course, has had some success in the last 5 to 7 years in the baseball program. They'll face off against Dallas Baptist. So at least 1 team who is unseeded will get in, possibly more. But that's how the cookie's crumbling right now. So, guys, you have 6 unseeded teams right now in baseball versus the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seeds. So you still have 10 seeds remaining. I think Arkansas is probably the best program right now out of all these teams. You have Arkansas, you have Tennessee, you have Vandy, you got LSU. So that's 4 SEC teams right there. You got Ole Miss, Mississippi State. So 6 SEC teams left. We'll see how many get into the College World Series. You're at least going to see 1 with the LSU-Tennessee series. So we'll see. At least 1 of those teams are going to get in. I'll probably go ahead and say closer to 2 or 3 will actually improve and get in. And I don't watch a lot of college baseball during the regular season, guys, but I do keep up with I do keep up with, the college tournaments, the conference tournaments, the regionals, the super regionals, and then, of course, Omaha, Nebraska, which is always a really, really good venue. If you haven't gone, definitely go check it out, guys. Women's College World Series. Now, I'm going to turn it on real quick because when I turned away, FSU was down 4-2 to Oklahoma. Let me see real quick. I'm going to turn it right back just to see if we have any action real quick. It was, Florida State was up 2-1, then gave up 3 runs in the 6th inning. It's on a commercial break right now, guys. So I'll get back to that here in just a second. But FSU, the number 10 seed, they lost to UCLA in the first game, gotten hot, came out of that loser's bracket all the way, beat a really, really good, who did they beat the other day? They beat a really, really talented team, to Alabama. They beat Alabama 2 out of 2 games straight after Alabama had won 20-some-odd straight games. So FSU's a good team. They won it in 2018 as well. They're up 1-0 in the series, but now down in this game 4-2. All right, guys, so we'll talk a little bit about NBA real quick before we get out of here. I just want to kind of touch base on the 4 series real quick and kind of what's going on, where we stand right now, and, what to expect the rest of the way. The Nets, guys, they're kind of everyone's prohibited favorite coming into the season. And, guys, right before I get started, I just want to say Oklahoma is now up 6-2, top of the 7th, so FSU will get another shot. FSU will get another shot in the bottom of the 7th, but they'll have to score 5 runs against a really, really good Oklahoma team. So most likely we'll be at Game 3 tomorrow for the national championship in women's college softball. All right, guys, so the Nets-Bucks, if you had to put money right now on a team to win the NBA championship, the overwhelming favorite right now is the Brooklyn Nets. Now, could you see a team, other than that win? Yes, I really think you could. Probably the Nets are going to win the East, most likely. They're probably going to come out of the East. The Hawks, they could face the Hawks or 76ers in the next round. They're up 2-0 against the Bucks right now. And they're most likely going to come out of the East. But, out of the West, guys, there's some really good teams. You got the Suns, you got the Clippers, you got the Nuggets, you got the Jazz. So you have some good teams there. Any one of those teams can beat the Nets in a 7-game series. I truly believe that. If James Harden is not healthy. If James Harden is not playing and is not out there, I think this is up for grabs. I really do. I feel like this championship is, could be up for grabs, per se, kind of like the Raptors winning 2 years ago. No one really expected that to happen, but it could happen. A very good team during the season just got hot in the postseason and had a star player, and they won it all. So could a team in the West get hot? Yes, but if James Harden's healthy, it's going to be really hard to beat this team 4 out of 7. It just is. Steve Nash at the helm. James Harden averaging close to 30 points per game, 10, 11 assists. Kyrie Irving averaging 25 and 10. Kevin Durant is just now starting to become his old self again in these playoffs. He's shooting 55% from the field. Just annihilated the Bucks in both of these games. So we'll see what happens. If Nets get Game 3 of this series is a wrap, but if the Bucks go out and get it to 2-1, anything could happen. But if I had to put money on a team right now and put money on the Brooklyn Nets, they knew what they were doing when they formed this team with Kyrie Irving and Durant, and they traded for James Harden, which was just, that was a terrible trade for the Houston Rockets. I'm sorry. I don't care if James Harden doesn't want to be here. I'm not trading him for what I got for him. So we'll see what happens in the rest of that series, but that one is 2-0 Bucks right now. Hawks, 76ers, guys, 1-1. The Hawks go in Game 1 in Philadelphia on Sunday, and they just started smacking them in the mouth, and it was 91-66. I don't even watch another minute until the last minute in the fourth quarter, and then they're up only 3 points. So Atlanta Sports, hold the lead for us, man. Golly, we don't want to see another 28-3. They're up 30. We don't want to see them lose that basketball game. So Trae Young, an electric player. Him and Luka Doncic, yes, they're always going to be compared because they were traded on draft night. But, man, the trade worked out great for both teams. The Hawks get Trae Young and Cam Reddish. Mavericks get Luka Doncic, and the rest is history. But who's the first player out of those two players to get to the playoffs? It was Luka Doncic. Who's the first player to win a playoff series? Trae Young. So Trae Young, guys, he's a dynamic player. Yes, he's a people a lot of times compare him to Steph Curry, which is not a fair comparison. No one is on Steph Curry's level, but Trae Young is pretty damn close. And the way he draws fouls and shoots threes, yes, he could play some better defense, but at the end of the day, he's just so dynamic on the offensive end. And then you have these 3-and-D guys like Bogdanovich and Gallinari, and then you also have a guy like Kevin Huerter. Those three guys are all great shooters, can play defense. And you have Clint Capella in the middle, John Collins, who once that max contract, he's got to step up and play a little bit better basketball. DeAndre Hunter, I think they announced that DeAndre Hunter is out for the rest of the series, so that is big for the Atlanta Hawks. I feel like if the Atlanta Hawks can just get, you want to get both these games in Atlanta to go to even it, to go up 3-1 in the series. But honestly, if they can, split and make it 2-2, then you got best 2 out of 3 series. So that's probably what's going to happen. I feel like this could be a very, split series heading back to Philadelphia. Doc Rivers, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. This is a good team. They have Curry. They have some shooters. They have Shake Milton, who stepped up last night. I had 14 points for him as well. And, it's going to be a good game, a good series. It's going to be, come down to the coaches, Doc Rivers, Nate McMillan, drawing up schemes and defenses and things like that. And you looked at what Philadelphia did at the end of the first game with that full court press that really, shook up Atlanta. So I'm sure Nate McMillan will work on that. And this series is screaming 6 or 7 to me. I think the Nets-Bucks series goes 5. I think this goes 6 or 7 easily. And whoever wins, it's going to be a hard-fought series. Then you got to go match up with the Brooklyn Nets. But I do believe the Sixers or Hawks without James Harden could beat the Nets. I mean, we're not talking, 50% chance or anything, but I'll put 20%, 15% chance that either one of these teams could upset the Brooklyn Nets. So we go out of the West, guys, and the West is as wide open as I've ever seen it. Of course, it was dominated by the LA Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs for all those years. But now you got some up-and-coming teams like the Jazz and the Clippers. You got Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert versus Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I mean, this is going to be a fantastic series. Clippers up last night, 13 points. Clippers have blown some big leads in this postseason. They're not able to hold the lead. Donovan Mitchell gets hot, had 13 at half times, and then ended up with 32 in the second half. So I think he had 45 points. D Wade was on hand. D Wade, of course, is a minority owner for the Utah Jazz. D Wade and Donovan Mitchell remind me a lot of each other. D Wade was maybe a little bit more explosive, but Donovan Mitchell is, every bit of explosive, and he has a really nice jump shot, can shoot the three, has, 3 30-point playoff games already, 28 career games so far, made an all-star team this year, I think, for the second time, and, he is just transforming in front of our eyes, 24 years old. Rudy Gobert, the big block versus Paul George, and I feel like this series could go 6 or 7 games as well. This is going to be what's up, Miss Rhonda? This is going to be a very good series. Utah, of course, has the home court advantage, so that is something. I know playing in Utah is never really fun, especially with that added in elevation. And then, guys, you go Suns Nuggets before we get out of here. You got Suns, Nuggets, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Monty Williams. This Suns team is fun to watch. They also have Mikal Bridges and, a bunch of other little, guys who can come in and give them some good minutes. I really like this Suns team. But also, guys, this Nuggets team is experienced. They went deep in the bubble last year. Of course, lost to the LA Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. But, man, if they had Jamal Murray, this Suns Nuggets series would go 7. I am guaranteed. I would have loved to see Booker versus Murray, that Kentucky Wildcat combo right there going at each other. But, Coach Malone and Coach Williams have their hands full in, trying to game plan and scheme up for this series. The Nuggets, Jokic is the MVP, but during the season, he got outplayed by DeAndre Ayton. And then the other night, DeAndre Ayton hung with Jokic. So, At the end of the day, this is going to be a good series. Michael Porter Jr., I think he may have missed a game one the other day. I know he's had some injury issues. If he's got to be healthy. Nuggets have a great bench as well. Sign guys like they have Williams on the bench and Austin Rivers and Michael Porter and things like that. So this Nuggets team is very deep as well. So Suns, Nuggets, if I had to put money on a team coming out of the West, man, I really like the Suns. I just think they're playing good basketball. They're that surprise team. They have a young superstar. They have the veteran leadership as well. And even though they haven't, got it done in the playoffs, they do have that series beating the Lakers. I mean, that was huge for them. Without Anthony Davis or not, that was a really good team. And I think Jay Crowder is a very important piece with this team as well. 3-and-D guy, can guard the other team's best player. So I'm sure he'll be on Michael Porter a lot this series. So, man, just fun times in the NBA, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Another episode of Kicking It with Crowder. We have now reached 86 episodes. So, very proud of that. We're almost at 100, guys. So, help me get there. Share this out. The more people that see this, the more people that like my page, the more people that can hear about the podcast, Kicking It with Crowder, just on the sports podcast, guys. I talk it all: NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, college athletics. I talk it all, guys, and I try to give you guys an unbiased opinion. Really, just from what I see with my own two eyes. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I go live every Wednesday or Thursday night at 9 o'clock. You can find me next week as well, guys. And also, my Julio Jones, I broke it down with my good friend Julian Harden, one of my Georgia Sports Hospitality and Media contributors. He helped with the Julio Jones talk, so that is out on my Podbean account. If you did not listen to it, go check it out, guys. That's episode 85. This is episode 86. And until next week, guys, I am out. Let's go. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Shout out to Nikola Jokic, NBA MVP. And we'll see if they can tie it up tonight versus the Phoenix Suns. I'm out, guys. Let's go.